Do you know what it was like to be 19 in the early 2000s? You're at a school party, the music's loud, the vibes are good, you're into rock bands like The Cure and The Smiths, and you totally pay good money to watch them live. You're always texting your friends, sharing inside jokes, making last-minute plans. Life feels full, your future looks bright, and everything feels possible. Felicia Teo was 19 that year too. After a party one night, she had texted a friend to let her know she was heading to Marine Terrace, to a friend's place. It's a residential neighbourhood in the eastern part of Singapore. It was a late night, a normal one, the kind of night that didn't feel different because nothing bad was supposed to happen. But Felicia never came home. And so for the next 13 years, there was silence. No clues, no confirmed sightings, no body. Just a heartbroken family, posters that faded over the years, and friends left asking the same question over and over again. Where is Felicia? This is the story of one of Singapore's most quietly devastating mysteries. It's about loss, friendship, betrayal, and what happens when the truth stays buried for over a decade. Welcome to Side Notes. Today we remember Felicia Teo. Trigger warning. This episode contains discussions about death, which some viewers may find distressing. Viewer discretion is advised. The details shared in this episode are based on publicly available information, court documents, official statements, and reactions from the public. While we strive for accuracy, this is not a substitute for legal or investigative authority. Felicia was a final year design student at LaSalle College of the Arts. Bright, creative, bubbly. She loved photography, sketching, writing. You know that classic artsy girl vibe? One of her friends said she had this comforting energy, like someone you just liked being around. She was also working part-time as a bartender in Clarke Quay. Her colleagues remembered her as responsible, always showing up and doing her job well, even though she was juggling school. She was super sociable, often on her phone, constantly messaging her friends. And she was the elder of 2 kids. She had a brother who was a year younger, so this wasn't just a case of a missing student. This was someone's daughter, someone's big sister, someone's friend. And remember, this was 2007. The iPhone had just launched, Facebook was only starting to catch on here, and we didn't have that kind of constant surveillance or data trails that we're used to right now. It was a different time, sure, but totally disappearing, still felt impossible. Let's go to the night of June 29th, 2007. Felicia left her home in Bras Basah to go to a party at LaSalle with her friends. She told her parents that she had a friend's wedding to attend to the next day. Little did her parents know this would be the last time they would ever see her. People close to her later said that on June 29th, 2007, she had gone to a friend's place at Marine Terrace. She was with 2 guys she knew, 18-year-old LaSalle schoolmate Ragil Putra and 22-year-old graphic designer Ahmad Daniel, who had recently graduated from LaSalle. They had plans to hang out at Ragil's flat, which he rents with his brother. Now, we don't know much about their friendship, but it wasn't like a shady meetup. They were friends. She even posted a blog entry that day talking about her weekend plans. Totally normal stuff. The last confirmed sighting of her was CCTV footage retrieved from the town council that showed her entering the lift with her 2 male friends to head to the 10th floor where Ragil lives. And that's it. No footage of her leaving the block, no activity on her phone after that. So there's no way that she could have left the flat, took the lift down to level 1, and not be captured by the CCTV. It was assumed then that she could have walked down the stairs despite the unit being on the 10th floor. And I know some of you are thinking, wait, what about the friends that she was with? What did they say? When questioned by the police, Daniel and Ragil said that Felicia had left the flat at around 2 a.m. to meet someone at East Coast Park. They said they complained about her jarring ringtone. East Coast Park is about 5 to 10 minutes from Marine Terrace. Anyway, Daniel said they were calling her names, so she stormed out. The 2 guys said Felicia just walked out of the flat carrying a cream-coloured bag that had her phone, an Apple laptop, and a digital camera. Sounded like a pretty harmless night among friends. No reason to think otherwise until she didn't come home and didn't answer calls and didn't show up the next day. On July 3rd, after 3 days of not hearing from her, Felicia's mother made a police report. Felicia was missing. The search started immediately. Her friends put up missing posters. About 200 people helped to distribute and paste thousands of flyers across Singapore. Her family went to the media. Her mother, bless this woman, she was tireless. She went on radio, TV, online forums, asking for any piece of information. Felicia and her mom were really close. They had recently gone shopping together. Felicia had just gotten her salary and used it to buy 2 matching bags in different colours. One for herself and one for her mum, Madam Tai. And that's the kind of bond they shared. When the search in Singapore brought no results, her parents even travelled to Johor Bahru. They were worried their daughter had been abducted and taken across the border. They spent a day in JB, showing photos of Felicia to strangers, asking if anyone had seen her. They also discovered that Felicia had last withdrawn just $30 from an ATM near their family home. That was all she had on her, so she couldn't have gone far. But if she did run away, why would she? She would usually update her family and friends on her whereabouts and plans. She had an internship lined up at a leading advertising firm and had bought tickets to see British band The Cure in August that year. Everyone who spent time with her said that she was acting like her usual self in the days leading up to her disappearance. The police classified it as a missing person case, not a crime. There just wasn't enough evidence to suggest foul play. But they did issue a police gazette to try and locate her, and a property gazette for items believed to have been in Felicia's possession when she was reported missing, which were the bag, the phone, the laptop, and the camera. Which means if any of the items were to come up at a second-hand dealer or at a lost and found, it would trigger a notification to the police. For 13 years, police regularly reviewed her case as part of their checks on unsolved missing persons cases. They re-interviewed family members, spoke to witnesses, and kept an eye on any activity related to Felicia, from her bank accounts and emails to social media and travel records. But no new leads came up. Now, it wasn't until the case was handed over to the Criminal Investigation Department, or CID, 13 years later, that things began to shift. Felicia's mother said she never gave up hope. In an interview in 2011, she said she kept telling herself that maybe Felicia was still alive, maybe married and living overseas. For so long, she lived with this aching, unanswered question: is my daughter still out there? Imagine living like that. Waking up every day, not knowing if the person you love most in the world is alive or dead. It's like grief in a loop. No closure or peace. Fast forward to 2020. We're deep into the pandemic. Everyone's in lockdown, the world is weird, and the police are quietly re-examining cold cases. And they go back to Felicia's file. This time, they're not just looking at the same old information. Forensic tech had evolved, and in re-examining items related to the case, they discovered that Daniel was in possession of Felicia's gazetted belongings, items she was last seen with. Details are fuzzy as to how the police managed to connect Daniel to Felicia's belongings, but that discovery raised some serious alarms. Daniel was arrested and charged for the murder of Felicia Teo. During questioning, he made a shocking admission. This is Daniel's account of what happened. On the night of June 29, 2007, he, Ragil, and Felicia went to Ragil's flat in Marine Terrace after a party at LaSalle. At Ragil's flat, they took MDMA, a hard drug also known as ecstasy. And according to Daniel, they all eventually fell asleep for about 6 hours, and when they woke up at around 6 a.m., they realized that Felicia was dead. Instead of calling an ambulance or even asking for help from a neighbor, the two men allegedly panicked. There's drugs in the system and a dead body in the flat. Now remember, this took place in Singapore, a country that has a zero-tolerance drug policy, where people are given the mandatory death penalty for carrying 500 grams of cannabis. Our laws are super strict about this. A first-time offender would face jail terms of up to 10 years of imprisonment, a fine of up to 20,000, or both. So Daniel and Ragil took Felicia's phone and drove to East Coast Park around 8 a.m, placing the phone there to create a false trail to make it seem like she had gotten there on her own. So later that same day, they returned to the flat after purchasing tools from nearby hardware stores. They wrapped Felicia's body in 2 mattresses from the flat, placed it inside a cardboard carton, sealed it with tape, and carefully carried it down the stairs, avoiding the lift to stay off the security cameras. Which explains why this was never captured by the CCTV. They then took a taxi to a deserted area near Punggol Track 24, which at the time was undeveloped land in the northern end of Singapore. Now, if you're familiar with the area, this would have been near Punggol Point Jetty. There, they dug a hole, placed the box into it, doused it with kerosene, set it on fire. Once the flames had died down, they covered the hole and left the scene. A quick note. Here's what most people don't know. During excavation works of the area in June 2010, a good 10 years before Daniel's confession, a partial human skull was found. The identity of the skull was unknown until Daniel was arrested in December 2020. DNA testing conducted in the US revealed that the skull very likely belonged to Felicia. Now back at the apartment, the 2 men also took Felicia's other belongings, her laptop, camera, and 2 camera lenses, worth more than $5,000 in total. Daniel later gave the laptop to his father and either sold or gave away one of the lenses. He kept the remaining camera and lens, both of which were eventually recovered by the police, but it was no longer functional. Now, before I continue, I think we have to acknowledge something. Yes, according to Daniel, Felicia took drugs, and that detail will stand out for some people. But I want this to be clear. This doesn't make her a bad person. There are many reasons why someone might experiment with drugs. Peer pressure, curiosity, wanting to fit in. I think what matters more in this story is that this one choice doesn't define her. Authorities also cannot conclusively say what she died from. The bigger, more painful truth is that it took 13 years for any form of justice to be served. 13 years of silence, misdirection, and a lie that kept growing and growing. I think that's what we should be questioning here. On October 14, 2022, roughly 2 years after his arrest, Daniel was sentenced to 26 months in jail after pleading guilty to several charges connected to Felicia Teo's death. These charges included lying to the police, disposing of her body, and keeping some of her belongings. He wasn't charged with murder in the end because the authorities couldn't proceed without the other key suspect, Ragil, who had left the country and couldn't be found. Instead of dropping the murder charge completely, the court gave Daniel a conditional release, meaning the murder charge is still open and could be brought back if new evidence comes up, especially if Ragil is ever found. Prosecutors didn't mince words during sentencing. They said that on June 30th, 2007, Daniel could have come clean, but instead he spent the whole day planning how to dispose of the body while it was concealed between 2 mattresses in Ragil's room. They added, "So we say it appears that he's just sorry he got caught, instead of being sorry for the offenses." So for 13 years, Daniel hid a secret that no one, not even his loved ones, knew. So why didn't he confess to the authorities? As time went by, his lawyer shared that he felt that he had more and more to lose if he surrendered, and he never got the courage to do so. Daniel was not ready to lose his life, his career, and family as a result. But because of this, Felicia's family and friends were robbed of any closure, and they hung on to the hope that she was still alive. And Ragil virtually vanished. As of now, he's still at large. He's believed to have recently been photographed in Indonesia. His social media accounts were also deactivated, moments after news broke online of Daniel's arrest and murder charge. The Chief Justice in 2023 said that Ragil seemed to be a live lead, and there is still an active search for him in Indonesia. After the case broke, tributes poured in. Felicia's old friends, schoolmates, even strangers who remembered her posters, they all posted about how heartbreaking it was. Her mom finally had an answer, but it wasn't the one she wanted. And what makes this story so painful is the betrayal. Felicia wasn't with strangers, she was with friends. People she trusted, people who hid her death and pretended nothing happened. So it's not just tragic, it's cruel. Felicia Teo deserved better. Like the rest of us, she was making plans about her future. to grow up, graduate, create art, to fall in love, to live. So if you're listening to this and you remember her, hold that memory close. Keep her name alive. Now, these are the facts in retelling the story of Felicia Teo. In uncovering what happened, I had some thoughts and questions that may be on your mind too. Here are my notes. Felicia Teo's story concludes with a semblance of truth, but the impact of what happened extends far beyond legal resolution. It reveals the devastating weight of secrets driven by fear of severe penalties for drug-related offences. Daniel and Ragil's actions, while reprehensible, were rooted in the panic of potential legal consequences in a society with strict zero-tolerance drug policies. This aspect of the case raises a difficult question. Do such policies, though effective in many ways, inadvertently create an environment where individuals might go to extreme lengths to avoid facing the law, even at the cost of a human life? The secrets they kept denied Felicia's family and friends closure and amplified their suffering for over a decade. While the legal system eventually brought some accountability, it could not restore the years lost or fully mend the deep wounds left behind. What endures is the unwavering persistence of Felicia's loved ones in their pursuit of answers. Ultimately, Felicia's story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and the need to examine, or at least acknowledge, the unintended consequences of even well-intentioned policies. May her memory inspire empathy, honesty, and the courage to come forward even when the truth is daunting, ensuring that every life matters, every disappearance is answered, and that justice, however delayed, is served. This was Side Notes. I'll see you in the next one.